¿Es Pequeñas Grandes Amigas la película más icónica en la carrera de Dakota Fanning? Yo creo que sí. Hablé con su diseñadora de producción, con Kalina Ivanov, que me contó cómo fue pensar cada uno de los escenarios en esta película, en la que también estuvo Brittany Murphy, a quien menciona en la nota y dice lo mucho que la extraña y lo mucho que podría haber hecho todo en este informe sobre Pequeñas Grandes Amigas.
We now return to Mira Akian and Contre with our latest interview.
The director, Boaz Yakin, of it and I are still very good friends. We just literally exchanged a bunch of emails the other day. So it was a really wonderful experience.
Biggest challenge.
Because it's a comedy and it's a social satire. The way I looked at it was that it was a social satire. And I really wanted to draw these two very different worlds. And that was the idea. The idea was that Molly had a very big heart. She was a very messy character, very bohemian, but very big heart. And she was going to be in the warm side of the palette. And then the young one, was such a child of privilege and child of Uptown New York. And yet she was just lived in an environment that had no soul. And they were about to teach each other of what it is to be a human being, basically, and a friend. It was based in a way on a lot of things that I knew in terms of New York too, because I've always lived downtown New York, which is Molly's world. And then, then the uptown world has always been very difficult for me to even go to, in a sense, because I always felt very removed. It felt very cold and geometric. Where downtown was always kind of very messy and dirtier, and everything uptown was always very clean. There was no garbage there, and all the garbage was somehow downtown. And it was kind of coming from that experience, personal experience, that I sort of determined the look of the film and how we went about it. We shot this in the East Village. It was really right, because I actually used to live in the East Village. And all my husband is a musician and all my friends were musicians. So that's where, at the time, it was just literally, that's where he had to be. And what we did is to bring authenticity to it, even though it was a comedy and it was New York and it was going to be a little bit exaggerated, to bring authenticity to it. I think Boaz and I chose all the locations to be exactly in the neighborhoods, different little tribes that live in New York, but really the two worlds, downtown and uptown, that are very, very different and very unique in their own way. So the musician's apartment was in the East Village. Molly lived on the west side of New York. I wanted to have a round room for her apartment. I remember really starting with this idea, and I did all these sketches and starting with this idea that she should live in a round room. So we wanted this very bohemian and very, as I said, very fantastical environment about this girl who lives in her fantasy world, who has nothing to worry about till she loses her money. And suddenly she's presented with real life's problems and has to figure out how to exist. And I just thought the whole story was super charming.
Yeah. This is a love letter to New York, but still it works as a universal story. And I'm speaking here from Argentina. I think that maybe 80% of the people that love the movie never been to New York, and they still love it. So why do you think that works?
I think it's because we were so authentic to it. I think that when you love something and you're authentic to it, I think that, and even if it's a little bit of a fantasy, it comes through. And a lot of what I do as a designer, I mean, it's just my personal mantra, is what I call emotional design. And what I mean by that, and that's just literally my term of the way I approach design, is that I always try for the environments to stay very close to the emotional life of the character. And therefore, they become authentic to that person. And they rooted, as I said, they're rooted in a reality. We did shoot in the neighborhoods we wanted the characters to live in, but they are chosen from the emotional connection to the characters and what these characters represent.
I don't know what's been going on between you and my daughter,
But you're right, because you don't know your own daughter.
I have a lot of really favorite moments of that movie. And one of it is like Dakota Fanning was my son's age, so I it was just like, it was so interesting because my son was the exact same age as her at the time she was doing the movie. And I was so impressed with her professionalism. She was truly impressive at 9 because she wrote to the entire crew thank you notes at the end. I mean, really, like, yes, this is a very special person. And Brittany was kind of out there, and it broke my heart. Brittany is no longer with us, which breaks my heart because she really could have had a tremendous career. She was a great comedian. But yes, they loved each other and they had tremendous fun. And also, my decorator and I did the how when you're on stage, the actors have a room, the dressing rooms. We decorated their dressing rooms, and we decorated them in character, and they just loved them. They just loved the dressing rooms. And I just remember the little pig, because it starts with the pig, right? The whole movie with the pig. And I just remember going like, oh, I had read somewhere about somebody who had a pig and had made this little staircase so the pig can go to bed. So I told Boaz, oh, we're doing that. We're making a special staircase. We did. We crafted out a very special staircase for the pig to be able to climb to the bed and all of that. So anyway, it was the cutest thing. And I think at some point we had talked about having a mechanical pig, and then we couldn't afford it. And it ended up being that pigs are so smart. You can pretty much train them to do a lot of things, actually.
Houseworking. Yeah. It's almost like a dog.
It was, exactly. And pigs are super, super smart.
Get a brew. I am employed by your mother.
Do you see her anywhere? News flash.
You're working for me.
For Dakota's character, we custom made a lot of the cabinetry in her everywhere, because it just needed to be, you needed to show that this was custom made. They were so rich, everything just fit perfectly in the bathroom and everything that was holding the dolls. And I do remember for the apartment, because I wanted to show that they're the parents who we never see, they're just kind of in the background. You never see them, they're a shadow. I was able to talk Christo, the artist, to lend me some of his lithographs, the posters of his art, because I felt that they would collect this type of artist, because they were on Central Park, and he was anyway. So I just remember that very vividly. I said, I know who's going to be perfect for this movie, and he lent me that, and it just worked really well. But yeah, it was the whole idea of this this little girl that lives by herself. She has everything and no soul. We actually had to build the ballet studio into a place that did not have a ballet studio, but I was looking for something that still had that sense that it was simple, and it could be a ballet studio, but it at least had the architectural magical bones, and it was both. It was less ornate than the Bohemian world, but it had some of the magic that these two women meet, and I just really wanted this very creamy, simple, but beautiful and elegant environment, and to feel very French at that moment in a way. So I think we went to the Ukrainian Center. They have a very big mansion on Fifth Avenue, and turned one of their meeting rooms into a ballet studio.
Grown-ups never stay friends with kids.
I don't see any grown-ups around here.
I do.
Uptown Girls.